everybody. Welcome to Be My Guest, where we bring you the voices and the stories that are changing the world one passion at a time. I'm Lisa Guest, your host, and today I'm beyond excited to introduce a guest who's redefining the boundaries of talent. At just 19 years old, he's already mastered over 130 instruments, can sing in 11 languages, and has performed across the globe. From national anthems on the sitar to original compositions featuring instruments most of us have not even heard of. He's a two-time world record holder, an author, a martial artist, a painter, and most importantly, an artist who leads with the heart, discipline, and unstoppable drive. Please welcome the incredible Neil Nayyar. How are you
Thank you
doing?
so much. I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Excellent.
So, we have been brought here today to introduce yourself to absolutely everybody on Jess TV. Um, First question I have for you, I mean, you have this long list of accomplishments. I can't even imagine at 19 years old, I barely even knew what I wanted to do with my life, never mind have all of these accomplishments already. Like, it's so impressive. Um,
Thank you.
What was it that inspired your music journey to begin with?
Well, I mean, this story all started when I was in the mother's womb. My dad, he was in the library looking for a book, and he chose one book randomly and started reading it. And after reading the book, he read one line which mentioned if you played Mozart's music on a tiny speaker by the womb, then a child will become a musician. So, for example, let's say you played a scissor sound by the mother's womb, then that child will become a surgeon. So, my parents tried the first experiment, which was the music. And as time went on, when I was at the age of 6, my parents they took me to a free drum class in a music school. And after one drum lesson, I was playing the drums like an old pro. It was like I didn't know how to play the instruments, but I was playing it fluently. And my drum teacher and my parents were shocked. They were like, "Wow, you're able to play the drums so fluently." And after that, my parents decided to challenge me, and they gave me another instrument, which was the guitar. And after learning how to play the guitar, I went to the piano, to the flute, to the saxophone, on and on and on. Then, at the age of 12, I made my very first world record for playing 44 musical instruments in 2017. And then, after that, I broke my own world record for playing 107 musical instruments at the age of 13. At the age of 13, and now I can play 130 instruments from around the world.
That is absolutely mind blowing to me. Like I thought I was doing well. I taught myself how to play the ukulele through COVID, and I was like, you know what, the musical career is really picking up here, but that's really not much of an accomplishment in comparison to learning how to play 130 instruments. Like, was this mostly parent driven, or was this something that, like, once you started playing the instruments, you just kind of got hooked and it was your call? Or, like, did your parents kind of push you in those directions to play the instruments, or was it more of, self inflicted?
Great question. So, I was actually driven into music. So, when my parents tried to experiment, actually that experiment really worked because all of a sudden I became so interested in music that I just wanted to learn and explore music in new and different ways. So I would say like I was so driven to music that like every day single day is like always something new in music. So
You
yeah,
just wake
that's the
up
way.
and music is on your mind.
Yep,
That,
that's how it
that is
is.
so cool. And
Yeah,
those
I mean like it. I mean, if my parents never did an experiment, I would have been a normal kid, like the rest of the kids. But
well,
what
you are a normal kid just for your normal for yourself, right?
yeah, of course. But like, whatever an experiment, it just changed my whole life. You know, I mean, it's all thanks to my parents. You know, they said, why not experiment with something? That's what they do.
And did your parents have like a musical background or anything like that, or was this just something they read about? They wanted to try and experiment. And they were like, "Hey, you know what? This actually worked. Let's kind of roll with it."
So this one, actually, my parents, even my relatives, don't play music. None
None
of my
of them.
parents, none of
None of
none of
them.
them.
None of them.
Nope,
Oh,
only me.
is this them achieving their musical dreams through you? And they're like, you know what? We wanted to do this, and now we're gonna inspire you to do that.
Actually, thing was that, I mean, both of my parents were not into music before, but I think when they tried that experiment and they saw that I was into music, then that's when they started. That's when they started supporting me from there.
Well,
So
and
that's what
that's
happened.
amazing just to have that amount of support where they're like, you know what, let's just keep going, let's keep going, let's keep going. Because that's got to be a lot of work on their end as well.
Oh
From
yes, of
what I,
course. Like
yeah, like from what I've read, you've had like over 100 different music teachers worldwide. So, for them to be able to support those dreams, and at a young age, obviously you're not supporting yourself through those endeavors. Like they're kind of footing the bill for everything and making sure that you get to where you need to be. Like that is you're pretty darn lucky to have such dedicated parents. That's amazing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course, I'm really grateful to have parents like them. You know, they have supported me for a long time. Like with the instruments. You know, like I mean, this was like I mean, having all these instruments was like a 6 year project. Even to make these tour records too. Like the expense of buying them, finding them, doing lots of research. Like even if you were to buy these rolled instruments today, it would be very hard because first of all, with the tariffs, that has even made it even more hard to just believe like if you're to buy an instrument. Like for example, I have two instruments which are very very expensive. Like I have an instrument called a glass harp, and a glass harp is an instrument from Poland, and it's all wine glasses, and they're actually tuned wine glasses. And to play the glass harp, it will need distilled water on your fingers, and then you have to play on top of it, like around and round, like that. And that instrument from Poland costed me around 6K. So that's how
I
expensive
was
that was.
just about to ask him, like, everybody wants to know the actual price of these instruments. So, $6,000 for a glass. I didn't even know that existed, like a glass harp. And are these
Yes.
are these things that people, like other people in the world, know? Like, is it like a normal thing for people to know how to play these things, or is it like you're like one of five people in the world that know how to play the majority of these instruments?
Great question. I mean, I would say like we are like one of the few who know how to play these instruments, like the glass harp, as mentioned. Like, for example, guitar. Everyone knows guitar; they know how to play guitar. But glass harp, like I know the only few, and also me who plays the glass harp. For example, this specific company which I have, there are only two of these in the world. One which I have, another person who has in New York, actually. So
That's so cool. Like that's got to
yeah,
be such a cool, just to be of that stature of knowing like I'm literally one of two people worldwide that owns this instrument even, let alone be able to play it. Like so how long
yeah,
does it take you on average to learn how to play an instrument? Like for me it took me like 2 months to learn CG and like and you're like 130 instruments in. I'm like, wow, my ukulele accomplishments are pretty minuscule.
yeah. No worries. As again, like learning at first takes time, and like I mean, achieving on one instrument is great actually because I mean, you at least have achieved something. That's great. But um, in like music, so like for me when I mean, well, like for example, like drums, right? When I started drums, that one took me, I would say, how long? Like 10 minutes in that class to learn the
Oh,
drums. I would say when I started. Yeah,
10
I
minutes.
mean,
Like,
not
are
like
you kidding me?
yeah, I mean like the basic beats to learn. for some reason I just had it. I don't know how I had it. I just had it, and then
And
from there I
is
started
that how
more
it is
instruments.
across the board with most instruments you pick up? Like you pick it up
Yeah,
and
yeah,
yep, I figured it out.
yeah. Like other instruments like probably took me around, I don't know, 10 to 20 minutes. Just figure it out, how it works, how to play it, find the key, play a song on it, and you got it already. That's how I do every instrument. And I think the toughest instrument, which took me, I would say, 1 week to learn, it was called the theremin. And the theremin, it's a very interesting and unique instrument because for the instrument you have to play in the air. So it has two antennas. The left antenna is used for controlling the volume of the sound, while the right antenna is used for controlling the pitch of the sound. Now, the hard part is standing still as a statue and playing that instrument. Because if you move 1 inch of your body here and there, the pitch will change on the theremin, and you have to retune the theremin all over again. So that's how hard it is, and only that you have to only move your wrists. So that's a lot of wrist exercise, and also getting the fingers in the right note or the right pitch, because it's for me we're very complex because you have to stretch your finger like this. I mean for retirement, that's where you play like this. That's how the movement is there. No head movement, nothing, just on the wrists. That's how it works.
That is like I couldn't even imagine just sitting down one day and be like, you know what, I really want to learn how to play this instrument where I'm just literally using energy and frequencies to play it. Like, who even invented this thing? Like,
Yeah, I
is
know.
there some sort of, like symbolic meaning behind that instrument as to how that came about, or do you know anything further about it? As like, it just seems like such a weird instrument to create.
I know it's a very weird instrument. But like I know like I know history about it, but like I know like someone created it first. Like I think it was a toy first. I don't remember what it was, and after that it became to an instrument. So that's how it happened. And not
That's
only
usually
that,
how
but
the
that
best things
instrument,
happen is by accident, right?
yeah, I know, yes, of course. And for example, that instrument became so popular in many countries that it was used by the Beach Boys in one of their songs. I don't remember what song it was, but it has the theremin in there actually. So if you type down Beach Boys with theremin, you'll find that song which has that part of the theremin playing that part. So that's in there. And I believe also Led Zeppelin or many other I think probably Pink Floyd used it too, if I'm correct. So yeah.
I'm sure someone had to pick it up at some point. It's just an interesting piece. Like it's an instant conversation piece. Like you see it in a clip, or even if you saw it in a music video, that would instantly draw attention to like, what the hell is that thing, and how do you play that? How do you like? Do you have people that teach you how to play these, or is it mostly just self-taught?
So these instruments which I learned from teachers all around the globe, and a few of them uh, locally and from online. And most of them are also self-taught. Like I would learn from YouTube videos or from online tutorials or from books. So that's how I learned all these instruments.
And is that kind of what geared you in the direction of writing your own book? Is that like
Yes, actually. So I actually have a book here. So this is called Passion to Exploration of 107 Sound Machines, and this book has all 107 musical instruments in this book right here. So I'll give you a sneak peek on how the book looks like. For example, here with this page. So in this book, I can see here I am showing little animation figures of me showing how the instrument is supposed to be held and played, the title of the instrument, and a little background about the instrument right here. So that's the book, and you can get this book on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. And the reason why I wrote this book, because like a lot of time when I perform at events, right? Like doesn't matter if it's like a Chinese, Indian, Arabic country, even or this kind of things, right? sometimes when I will be playing their instrument from their own country, the people from their own country would ask me what this instrument is, and I'll be shocked. Like, even though these people are from their own country, but they don't know what this instrument is, and which really shocked me. So then after that, I said I should write a book like about instruments. And I mean, I don't think there's a book about this. Like, I mean, the books, but like very complex. I'm like, it should be something easier for all ages to understand. You know what this instrument is, how it looks. And
It's
it's
a bit
also good for
more
people
like
to know that. Yeah, and also it's also good for people to know that these instruments still exist today. You know, so
or in general, like
yeah,
I've read through a couple of I would say out of the 130 instruments, like I would know maybe 50 or 60 of them. Like, to be honest, there's so many of them where you're like, what even is that? And then you look up at something online about it, and just even seeing a picture of it, like, wow, I've never seen anything like that before. I didn't even know that existed. That is absolutely insane.
yeah. So yep, that's how I wrote the book. And as I mentioned again, we have on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. So and also this book has actually inspired many other people to learn music. Like I know two people actually got this book after they bought my book, and now they started learning like guitar and violin. So that was pretty interesting for me. That
Well, that's really
this
all
book
that
inspired them.
you can hope for, like you put out those
Yeah,
things in hopes that you're going to inspire someone to either
yeah,
pursue their musical career or even just to gain the knowledge of it. It's just,
yeah,
it seems like something that not very many people are aware of. So to keep that kind of going and keep people informed and aware of that, I think that's important. Like music, it seems like all of the arts are kind of being drawn back where, like we've got AI and stuff like that, where it's taking away that
yeah,
natural ability to perform and be talented. Like anybody can go online and auto tune their voice now and sound amazing. And as an artist myself, like I love the arts of all statures, and to like AI is definitely a tool that can progress, like if you have an idea or something like that,
yeah,
you can, it's like instant time, instead of it taking you 4 hours to come up with something, it takes you 5 minutes. So as a
yeah.
creative, it kind of gives you that opportunity to build more faster, which is good. Um, but yeah, I couldn't imagine the amount of time that it takes to do all of the things that you do. Like it's got to be hard having that
Yeah,
work life balance. Like how do you go about achieving that? Like, is your whole life based on music and learning instruments, or is it hard to kind of bring in a social life of girls or your friends or family or anything like that? That would be tough for me in that situation to, go into full work mode. And, obviously that stuff has to go on the sidelines a little bit in order to be able to achieve those types of things.
yeah. So yeah, as I mentioned, like my life is different because of the instruments. I got more gigs. So like mostly, I manage my time like for music. Like I spend probably 7 hours on music per day, actually.
So it's like your
And
full
not only
time job.
that, yeah, yes, you could say. And I'm also in college at the moment. I am actually majoring in film scoring. So film scoring means like creating music for films. So that's
Okay.
something on at the moment. And so yeah, I'm managing between college, music, and also gigs, and also for film projects too. Like I have many films which are in the works. I'll talk about that soon. But like um, you know, sometimes I mean I really get time with friends actually. That's one thing too. Like sometimes I get time with friends, sometimes not, depending on my schedule. But like uh I think what's best for me is to continue working toward my career because for example, like what a lot of I've seen a lot of teenagers what the problem they're going on right now at the moment, even in America too, is that first of all they don't focus on the career. They focus on girls. They focus on other stuff like games, and which wastes your time.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then after that, then you have to get a job. Then you have to work 9 to 5 for a whole life. While like start early, right? I don't know, start. I mean, you can start doing something at when you're a teenager or when you're 6 years old, like how I started music 6 years old. And now I have a career, and so now I know where I want to go, and now I know where I want to focus. While other teenagers, they focus on something else, and then after that, they forgot about the future.
Yeah,
So
well, it's hard for the majority of people to,
yeah,
say, chase their dreams. Either they didn't have the support system like you had, for example, or, you don't have the means to, say, you want a $6,000 harp. There's a lot of kids that don't have
yeah,
access to
of
something like
course,
that. So you just don't get that opportunity. But yeah, I totally understand and completely agree that a lot of time is so wasted. Like
yeah,
there's so many things you could be doing with your time that you're just spending it staring at a screen, or just not focusing on what you could be doing, or even, like I said, even having that support system of knowing, like, your parents obviously caught on to the fact that you were good at drums, so they're like, oh,
yeah,
okay, well, like, let's pursue this music thing. A lot of kids don't have that opportunity, so you do get to that situation. And I find,
yeah,
even with myself, going through different changes in life and just following kind of whatever comes to mind, it's very hard for people to do that.
yeah,
And
of
for yourself
course,
in a situation where you've been in the spotlight at such a young age, like,
yeah,
that's got to be just a normal way of life now. It would be probably boring as hell for you to have, your standard 9 to 5 and be thinking like, oh, what am I going to do with my life? Like, you've got that path kind of set for yourself, which is,
yeah. That's correct. Yeah,
it's,
and I mean, like for example, would you rather have 20 years of life just wasting time, and then have to work 40 years for no reason, or would you rather work 20 years of your life, work hard, find a career, and then have a free life, and then you just enjoy the rest of your life?
and
That's how it
still
is, and that's
obviously enjoy what you're doing in the meantime, right? Like, this is obviously your
yeah,
passion in life. It drives you.
yeah,
When something pushes you beyond the point of wanting to hang out with friends and doing the normal things, like, that's obviously what you're driven to do. And
yeah,
I'm the same way, where I would rather see my friends and push them in that direction than just, sit there at the bottom with them, just doing the kind of the norm, like, go step out of your
yeah,
comfort zone kind of thing.
yeah. Of course, and as mentioned, focus on career first. The girls and other things can be second, but first is your career and what your future
You
is.
don't have
That's
a
the important
lineup
part.
of girls that you're batting off with a stick or anything like that? Come on, you've been in the
Uh,
celebrity spotlight for a while now. You gotta have a couple honeys on you.
I don't know. At the moment, I'm not sure. I mean, I do get lots of DMs. That's one thing I can tell you for sure.
Oh gosh. Sorry, I had to ask. I had to ask.
No worries. It's okay.
Why,
It's
right?
okay.
Everybody wants the juice. Everybody wants the juice.
Yeah, of course, of course. Yeah, and then coming back to AI, which I heard, which you mentioned. Like for example, I do use AI sometimes, not all the time. I use AI for ideas. Like for example, we have
Yeah, totally.
ChatGPT,
It's such a
right?
good tool for that.
Yeah, it's a good tool, right? When the other platform for music, which they want to take over, which doesn't make sense to me because first of all, I mean AI is good for ideas, right?
Yeah.
For example, it helps. AI is actually first of all, the definition of AI is wrong. AI is supposed to help you speed up things,
Yeah.
not take over.
It
First of
definitely
all,
it helps with time management 1,000%.
yes,
Yeah.
but I mentioned, but AI is not supposed to take over. That is wrong. It's supposed to help you move faster. For
Mhm.
example, like there are companies who are creating websites of like generating music, and I did try a few of them. They're good, by the way. Like I mean, feel good, but the thing is that they become copyright. That's the thing because of the company, right? Another thing is that, for example, I'm a film composer and I actually compose music for films. Now, for example, you tell AI to create a score, you take that track from that website, you put it on the film, it doesn't match. First of all, why? Because AI cannot see or feel the emotion, what the soundtrack should be for that film. While we, as composers, film composers who have been to music for so long, understand what emotion needs to be there and what instruments are supposed to be there. So, to my conclusion, AI is not supposed to take over the industry, but is supposed to AI is supposed to help people speed up their work. That's for sure.
I completely agree. And that's coming from some, like, I write a lot. And for myself, you just have all these random notes and things kind of strewn all over the place. And to try and bring them all together into one thought process, it can be really challenging. But to be able to put all those notes into AI and just
Mhm.
help, like instead of this taking me 8 hours to do on my own, it's literally done in a matter of an hour. And it's all your information.
No.
It's all your, it through your mind. It's not
Yeah.
like you're asking it to do this for you, which you can do. And if that's what you choose to do, that's fine. And to me, the authenticity of doing it myself is more important than doing it right, or as opposed to what everybody wants, like you just don't get that authentic vibe to it. And I'm glad that you can actually pick that out in, like, you can tell, you cruise online and you can even see people posting if they're
Yeah.
using AI, you can tell just by certain emojis
Yeah.
that pop up. And to me, it automatically takes it from, like, I really respected your content and it really rang true to me. And then as soon as I see that, I'm like, but it wasn't you. So you
Yeah.
immediately lose me in that moment. And I hope that a lot of people, especially as, creatives and artists, you want to keep that vibe going, because once that, you know, kind of element is lost, it just takes away the whole aspect of needing to know those things and just having the actual talent, like you can tell people you have a talent and you can script it as perfectly as you want, but you have to actually show up and, be that person as well. So,
Yeah.
um,
That
who
is
is
true.
it
Yeah.
that, like, I'm sure there's a ton of people that look up to you and they're inspired by you, especially in the
Hmm.
music industry. Who is it that, lights your fire? Who is it that inspires you, that you look up to and, reach for?
Um. I mean, there are so many artists, but like the specific ones, like first of all, one of my favorite bands, which have inspired me, like the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, um, Coldplay, Imagine Dragons. Uh, what I really liked about these bands is that they are versatile. Like they, for example, Coldplay. One thing which I
Especially
love about the band,
Coldplay.
yeah, Coldplay, Imagine Dragons, they love to experiment with
Yep.
different songs. Like they would sometimes, like from Coldplay, their song "I'm for the Weekend," they actually added that Indian flavor into that song, and I think now that song has billions of views. So like, a lot of bands who love to experiment with different genres, and probably like singers too, which really inspire me, like Adele, Bruno Mars, Justin Timberlake, Charlie Puth, Shawn Mendes, and Harry Styles, he's a regular artist, The Weeknd, and also composers like Rahman, who did for the Oscar-winning, award-winning film Slumdog Millionaire, Steve Jablonsky, who did for the music for all five Transformer movies, Lauren Balfe, who did the music for Mission Impossible, and also Hans Zimmer, the top most composer in Hollywood. So these are my inspirations.
So, with all of the things that you've accomplished so far in life, where's your bar? Like, what is going to, like most people would be like, oh, my goal in life is to learn how to play 5 instruments, for example. And for most people, that would be a huge accomplishment. Like they would
Yeah.
be, or say they knew how to speak 3 different languages and play 5 different instruments. That's like big time for the majority of people. And here you are at 11 different languages you're singing in and 130 plus instruments you're playing. What's your like end goal?
Uh, Good question. I mean, my next goal, um, is to be in Hollywood, live in Hollywood, work in Hollywood. Uh, perform in my. Perform with my favorite bands like Coldplay, Imagine Dragons, and also to um, do soundtracks for big Hollywood films. That's my main goal at the moment.
That seems
You
to
know.
be kind of like just watching you online and kind of what you're interested in and the things that you kind of got going on. It seems to be geared towards more of like composing for soundtracks and that kind of stuff, which
Yes.
in the
Yes.
music terms, like everyone's like, oh, I want to be a musician. You think like, oh, I want to be in a band, and you think, drums and guitar and all that kind of stuff. But as a composer, it's a totally different. Like you're literally creating the entire atmosphere and the emotion of an entire movie. So it's not just 5 minutes of a song that you're creating an emotion to. You're literally taking
Yeah.
people from a beginning to an end of an entire movie. Like 2 hours
Yeah.
of composition of music is just it's a lot of work, but at the same time, like, yeah, it's just an interesting pursuit.
Yes, it is. And yes, because as a musician, you can be anything. Like for example, like I'm a multi instrumentalist. I play different instruments. I'm a singer too, right? I'm a recording artist too. I'm also a composer. That's whole different thing. I mean, there's like I'm also doing a new thing called sound design actually. So like where you design where you design the sound for films or for soundtracks. And I'm doing a new thing called Foley, where you create the sound effects for movies. So like this kind of stuff. And I mean, music, it's like versatile. I mean, like it's a whole ocean. It's like lots of things you can do in music. I mean, there's like so many jobs you can do in music actually. By the way, I mean, probably you can be a music doctor, which I never knew existed. By the way, I
Well,
mean,
that makes two of us. Music doctor. I don't know. To be like, let me fix that playlist for you.
yeah. So I mean, there's a lot. But coming back, so yeah, as mentioned, composer. I compose music for short films, feature films, commercials, TV series, documentaries, and video games. I'm currently working on an indie video game. It's untitled at the moment, but it's a mix of action and mystery together. Uh,
And you're
I
building
believe
the
I.
whole you're building the whole game, not just the music for it, like the actual game.
No, I'm not building the game. I'm only doing music for the game,
Okay,
actually.
okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, just focusing on the
I
music.
mean, to build a game, I mean, I'm actually looking to that part too because as a composer, right? Um, because the game side is new for me. Because funny thing is that when I was young, right? I used to hate games a lot. To be honest, I don't
Which
know
is
why I
unheard
hated
of.
games.
Which is
Yeah,
unheard of. Like most kids are like, screw everything else. I want to play games.
yeah, but for me, I hated games. Like for example, like
I
when I
did
was,
too. I did too.
yeah, for example, like when I was 10, I don't know, I think that's when I was playing 10 or 20 instruments. My parents, they bought me a Xbox, and I didn't know what it was. And after one day, I told my parents to return it. I told them I hated it. Like seriously, that's how much I hated Xbox that day. Seriously, I don't know. I just didn't like what it
Well,
was.
whatever
But
your parents did, tell them to start like a YouTube channel or something so that they can teach the next generation. Because, oh man, I was the exact same way though. Like for me, it was I just could not sit still long enough to, follow through with the entire game. I was bored within 10 minutes, especially like for myself, I'm 40. So when video games, when I was a little kid, it was like Super Mario Brothers and Mario Kart was
yeah,
like high end. Like that was high def. Holy crap, look at the graphics on this. And now you see like Call of Duty and they're so lifelike. It's unreal. But I never was a video game person, and honestly, I'm sure with certain kids, it does teach the hand-eye dexterity and all that kind of stuff. But I think it's kind of getting to the point of a little bit too much now. So that's a good thing that
Yeah,
you obviously
yeah, and then
you're meant for the video game life.
yeah. Well, I mean, after that time, then I think this was like, I think last year I decided to see, how I can incorporate music into video games. And then after I played after I played some random video game, I actually liked it after that. Then I said, maybe I should bring on a video game which will have a music. After that, then I had to start playing video games. I had to experiment. I had to see how video games worked. I had to experiment how the music shapes the video games. I mean,
Of
for
course, it
example, like
really does.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like for example, like Legend of Zelda that has music. Call of Duty that has music.
And that's something that's
Uh,
like tried and true through the generations too. Like nowadays, like you play Zelda music from the 90s, every single one of us instantly know where
yeah,
that music comes from, like it instantly attaches that memory to it, which is hugely symbolic and with
yes,
music in general, just to have that like Mario Kart for example, or
yeah.
the castle music when you're in Mario, like everybody knows that music.
Yes, that is correct. And I mean, there is a big, big difference between video games and movies because movies,
Also totally different
like,
audience too.
yes, because when I compose music for movies or short films or whatever, right? Mostly everything is, I mean, the stories are scripted. We know what will happen, right? But in video games, it's unexpected.
Yeah,
And to create the music, you will have to like find which part what will happen. You will have to. It's very different than movies. Like
yes. You
it's a
can't have
whole different
happy,
experience.
upbeat running music when all of a sudden you're getting chased down by a guy with a gun and you like
Yeah,
take the wrong turn and you're like, no. Yeah, that would definitely
yeah,
be challenging. See, and those are things that you just don't think about until you're actually in that industry and, dealing with those kinds of things. That's
yeah. It's a whole different thing. But actually, more learning how to create a video game because that helps for me when I'm creating music. Because if you, for example, I know how a movie works. I've been to sets, but as a composer, when you learn how things are created, when you learn how movies or video games are created, then your music become much better because now you know what's happening, and that's what I mostly
yeah,
do and everything.
yeah, you
So
know
yeah,
where to put what, when, and
yes,
yeah, definitely. I can see
yeah,
how that could definitely help
yeah,
with that.
of course.
Um,
And about my upcoming projects, I actually have 20 projects which are coming and are in the works. So I have two feature films coming out this year. I have this feature film called Knock Shift. Uh, it is a horror feature film directed by Thomas Sahagun, and that'll be coming out in theaters next month. Um, I think in theaters too, and also on Amazon Prime. And then in August, I have another feature film coming up too. It's called Ikon Car, and right now we're in post production at the moment. And then it's actually directed by Kaviraz, who I was talking about on this Jess TV channel last 2 weeks. So that's coming up too. And another feature film coming up also next year, which is a horror film. It's being filming right now in South India at the moment, and they're planning to promote it uh, to the Hollywood industry. And then I'm working also on short films. Recently, I won two awards actually for best composer for short film and best composer for Springtown at the SACTA Movie Buffs. So now I can say I'm a three-time award-winning film composer. And then along with that, I'm writing some short films. We have a few coming up um, next 2 months. other film festivals. There's one coming up actually at the State Fair um, film festival too. Um, and what else? I was working on two documentaries at the moment. I'm working on.
That's it?
Uh,
Come on. That's all? Like, there's only all of these films and all of these. Oh my goodness.
yeah, of course, yes. Like, I'm doing two documentaries as I mentioned. I'm working on a baseball documentary. I'm working on a documentary about horses, and I'm working on two commercials at the moment. So yeah, that's what I have at the moment.
So where does all this stuff come from? Like, are these things that like people kind of reach out to you to do, or are these things that you're actively pursuing, or do you have an agent that kind of finds all this work for you? Like, how does that, as a person who's not on the inside, like you're working with pretty high profile people. So to be just your standard citizen of Lethbridge, Alberta, like this is a pretty extravagant lifestyle. You can't even really fathom the idea of waking up in the morning and being like, okay, well, today I'm going to work on my documentary about horses, and then tomorrow I'm going to get my name engraved in a sidewalk, and then I'm going to go and compose music for this short foot. Like, it's just a complete mind blow. Like, where does this all come from?
Yeah, so mentioned about agents, I actually have two agencies and I do have a manager who actually manage my projects. So whenever we get a film project, they mostly manage. And then about film projects, so most of the directors contact me. So they will find me on from my website. They'll say, "Hey, I want you to do, I want you to score for my film," and that's how it works. And um,
And that's just kind of
what
rooted from like just being with
yeah,
your client for
like
so long. Like you obviously from 4 years old, you've been very recognizable as a person, and you just keep getting more and more and more and more. So
yeah,
obviously the snowball effect is going to like it's getting to be a pretty big snowball now.
yes, correct, correct. Yeah. So actually, how I got into film composing, um, so before 2020, I was mostly performing. Like I was like performer. Like every month, every week, I would have performances until when COVID hit. All my performances got
Oh
canceled.
no, COVID
Yeah,
ruined everything.
COVID.
But also, it switched things, so it did have its positives. But anyways, keep going.
Yeah, yeah. So when COVID hit, we had to stay at our homes. We couldn't go outside. This kind of things happened, and then this idea came to me because I mean, I was a big fan of movies, like which I'm still today. Like every movie I watch, I'm just amazed, how it's created, and I was like, and I was saying like how I was like I want to work in the film industry, but how can I incorporate music into films? Then I found that there's this thing called film composing, where you create a soundtrack for films. So I said, okay. Then I found a mentor, and then I was learning from the mentor uh, from 2020 since till 2023 four. But in 2022, I actually got my first project, and this was one of the biggest projects I ever worked on, and it was to score for a Honda commercial, actually. And in a commercial, I was actually also featured in it. I was actually also the actor in it too, by the way. So yeah, I acted in 200 commercials. I also did compose the score for 200 commercials, and that commercial just blasted. I think that's where my I think that's where I got recognized for my
Kind of where
work.
things blew up for
Yeah,
you.
yeah, yes. Then after that, that commercial got featured in Hulu, got featured in Pluto TV. It got featured in the whole California, um, everywhere. And then after that, it spread to many other places too in America too. And then after that, I believe another company bought that commercial, and then it spread more farther. And then after
Which
that,
is
I
which
think
is crazy to me because if you're saying
Mhm.
this was like COVID era, that was like 5 years ago, which means you were 14 years old in your living room thinking, how am I going to incorporate music into film? Where most 14-year-olds are like, I need to download Minecraft. I need to update my Fortnite. You know, like that's their biggest concern for the day. And you're over there thinking, I need to compose music. And that is such old soul, uh, just energy. And I truly appreciate the fact that at such a young age, you were so driven and you just followed that, you know, like
Yeah.
talking with people nowadays, it's so hard for them to get into a mind frame of, you know what, I decided I want to do it, so I just did it.
Hmm.
You know, like
I
people, they
see.
just don't do that. They shy away from it. Like, no, I can't do that because what if people don't like that? I can't do that because what if this person doesn't approve? You know, where you were just
Hmm.
like to the wall. I don't care. Like, this is what I want to do. And your parents were like, okay, well, this is what we're doing. And now here you are, you know, like you have
Yeah, of course.
accomplished so much. Like anybody at this point in that you where you are in your life, they would die a happy person and be like, I never have to achieve another thing in my life. I've done it, you know, like I've made it.
Yeah,
And you're 19, like you have so many years to
yeah, yeah.
progress and so many things to kind of look towards, you know, like
Ah,
do you always
nice.
plan to be in a music role, or is there something else that drives you, you know, like so people have random things. I had this one friend that, you know, she was super successful, she had multi six figure business, and in the back of her mind all she wanted to do was be a pilot. Like
Wow.
that was what driven. She didn't care about the pay cut. She didn't. She just wanted to fly planes, and it was the most random thing ever. You would never expect, you know, this girl to want. She was terrified of everything. The last thing you would think is that she wanted to get in a plane and fly around all day. Um, yeah. Is there anything aside from music that kind of you might think of dabbling in, or
I mean, I'll come to that question soon. But I did have a question. I'll come to that soon.
yeah,
But there's one thing you mentioned. You mentioned Minecraft, and what was the other one you mentioned
Fortnite?
after my Fortnite? What is Fortnite? I never heard of that
You've
actually.
never heard of Fortnite? Are you okay? Well, you're clearly not in the gaming vibe. It is like
Well, I
the
mean,
easiest
I've
thing
for
ever.
example, for that, I've heard of Call of Duty. Those kind of popular, or like
Okay, well,
PUBG.
you've heard of Call of Duty and you've heard of Minecraft, like Fortnite, like times that by 10. Like all the dances that you see random kids doing,
Huh?
the floss, like those are all from Fortnite. And if
Really?
you want to
I'll
get
check
into
that out.
composing music for video games, you should definitely get in touch with Fortnite because they're like
Hmm.
the video game of all video games.
I'll have to check that out.
I honestly
I have no idea.
if you've never heard of that, like in Canada, it is like you see kids they're posting TikTok videos of all the like the avatars. They all have you can buy like special skins for them and all that kind of stuff, and they have special dances that they can do. I don't really know a
Really?
lot about it. I have a 12-year
Hmm.
old who used to play it, so that's as far as it goes for me. I've never actually played it myself, but it is a big deal. So
I
the
see.
fact that you don't know about it, you definitely are not. You're outside of the gaming industry for sure.
Yes. I mentioned I like
Like
I started
YouTube,
exploring
like
video
I'd be
games.
like, what's YouTube? That's how big it is. That like for you to say what is Fortnite is for you to be like, what is YouTube? And people are be like, what is he talking about? How does he not know about
I
it?
know. No, because actually what happened
That's good. That's
because
good.
yeah, actually I started exploring video games last year, when I wanted to, touch base with music and video games. But like because before that I was not much into video games. I was focused on my career, then what I mean when you focus so much on your career, like you eventually forget about other things. So that's when
Oh
you mentioned
yeah,
Fortnite. I was like, what is Fortnite?
yeah, like I said, you're so out of touch with just like normal normal life. It's not even
Yeah.
funny, which is it's hard. Like, is it hard to relate to the majority of people? Like when you're meeting new friends and stuff like that, I feel like people just automatically kind of put you not necessarily on a pedestal, but they just automatically you have that like, oh my god, it's Neil. He's been here, here, and there, and that, and that. Like just to be able to
Yeah.
bring yourself down to what, I am a person too, and I'm just like you guys. I just feel I got this amazing resume underneath me, but at the end of the day, at the core of you, you're a 19-year-old. I can't even call you a kid. Like if I was talking to a normal 19-year-old, I'd be like, "You're a kid. I'm 40, so you're less than half my age." So it's just natural for me to say, "Oh, a 19-year-old kid." But even just talking with you, like you compose yourself in a very mature manner. Like you've obviously
Yeah.
had a lot of mature, influence in your life, which has geared you in those directions of wanting to pursue a career at such a young age. At 19, most kids are like, "Woo, let's go party. We're bar legal now. Let's go pick up some ladies," and that's it. As long as you got a cool car, you're set at 19. But and that like
Yeah.
for you, you're just laughing and you're like, "That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard." Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Well,
that's
and
stupid for
even
sure.
where you
Yeah.
come, like even you're in Sacramento, right?
Yes, I am.
Even in Sacramento, like it's probably no different than Lethbridge there on a regular basis. Like you have a little bit different
Yeah.
scenery. We've got the mountains and the greens and the lakes and all that, and you've got the
Nice.
palm trees and the oceans. Same scenery, but I'm sure similar types of people.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, as I mentioned, that same thing is also in Sacramento too.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just
Yeah.
kind of you're within that like 1% of the population who is you know you've experienced life in a completely different way. So I would imagine it would be tough to relate to someone where they're like, "Oh my god, we went to the mall today and then we did this," and you're like, "Cool, I'm composing." Like, I gotta go make some music for this Hollywood film. You guys have fun at the mall. Let me know if you get any sales or anything. Like
Yep.
must be a completely different lifestyle.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, and also for young kids, just don't waste your time. Save your time. Just find something you love to do or you want to do in your career. Just focus on that and you're good to go in life. That's how it is. Like I've seen a lot of kids that waste their time. Oh, I'm TikTok, YouTube, I don't know, Twitter,
It's mostly
Instagram.
TikTok and Snapchat from what I hear. I'm not much of a phone person myself. I don't even turn my TV on most days, so I live in a completely different realm as well, but not quite to your stature. But yeah, just the everyday stuff doesn't make sense to me either. So I
Yeah.
understand it to a certain degree, but at the same time, like people can sit here and listen to all of the things that you've accomplished, and you can try and
Yeah.
inspire them to a certain degree, but it just takes that actually following through with really what
Yeah.
drives you. Like the thoughts that come in your head, listen and follow.
Yeah.
And even if it sounds weird, even like I know when I was going to school, like you're playing instruments and you're in band class, I was a choir geek. Like I love choir, I still do. i, I
That's
miss
nice.
being in choir class so much. But we hung out with like the band geeks, and like there was a certain stigma behind all of that stuff which kept kids from pursuing something like that. Like, oh, there was
Yeah.
one girl that I went to school with, she was so good at the saxophone, but everyone made fun of her because she was this and this, and oh, you're playing this instrument. And you know kids make a big difference in what you pursue in life, and to
Yeah.
be able to rise above that and be like, this is my calling, this is what's driving me. It's so hard to listen to that for so many people, but it's just
Mm.
so inspiring to see someone of your age just be like, you know what, like this is what life is, and this is what I'm
Yeah.
doing. And it doesn't matter what anybody else is doing in their life. It's just a matter of what you do and what drives you.
Yep, of course, yes. And also another thing which also helped in my career was online schooling, because before, when I went to public school, I didn't like first of all, like, the students, like, I mean, crazy. And then, like, I mean, that was like before, when that was back in 2007 or 8. I don't know, when I was very little, when I was very little. But like, I didn't like the school environment, Then I said, and then my parents decided to take me to online schooling, and actually, like, online schooling really changed my life, because now I was able to focus 50% time of my time in studies and 50% of my time in music. So now I had enough time to focus on my career. While going to public school, you have to stay there for a whole day, and then they come back
Yeah,
tired. They do the homework. It's too much. While online schooling, you can study at any time of the day. That's one thing which I like about
that's
online
that's
schooling. So,
definitely
like, yeah, for example, that's like, I mean, also for the viewers who are watching, like, if you're interested in something, or if you in public school, right, or you don't have enough time, go to online schooling. It's best for you, because, and not only that, but teachers are also very supportive in online schooling. I've been through that,
I
so
mean, I feel like a
it's
lot of kids don't necessarily go that route because I'm kind of in that situation with my own kid at the same time where he has that mentality of it's not that he's above school or anything like that. It's just he's beyond the learning capabilities of school. Like he understands like, okay, I'm not interested in social studies. Obviously, I'm not going to be a politician. I'm not interested in this. He's not interested in art or anything like that. So he's obviously, like where he excels is in science, and that's where his grades reflect. And for me to like overall look at, oh, in this you're not doing well, in that you're not doing well, it's hard for me to be upset about that, where I see it as a point of, hey, those just aren't where you excel, but you shouldn't be punished for that. And in public school,
yeah,
you definitely do. Like, it's like, oh, okay, well, you're not a writer. We're going to fail you in this class. And overall, you're going to have to get held back a grade because you don't enjoy writing, but you're amazing in science. So even like with the homeschooling
yeah,
stuff, you kind of have the opportunity to really gear into what you're truly inspired by, and you have that time
yeah,
at home away from the influence of kids. Like, and I've seen in public school, there's a select few of kids, like you've got maybe 10 kids in your class that you can maybe relate to, hopefully. And even in those situations, 5 out of 10 of those kids probably come from pretty rough homes, or they're in a situation where they're not being inspired by their parents, or they don't have the same mentality, they don't have the same religious background. So you're kind of limited to who you can hang out with and who you can relate to, and it's all
yeah,
based on that social idea of what you should be, whereas you're at home where you're with parents who inspire you to do what you want to do. You're not listening to those thoughts and the limitations of other people that are going to actually hold you back at the end of the day. So
yeah,
if
yeah,
anything,
and
that was probably the best thing that ever you could have done. And honestly, I'm kind of thinking about it myself here. So
yeah. I mean,
you
like,
got the gears rolling.
yeah, of course, I've been through the same thing too. Like, there is some subject which I'd be good at, some are not good. I mean, it's wrong to punish me. And of course, that student is not interested. So, and I wish, like, the school system had some kind of thing, like, for example, like, what the kids are interested into. Like, for
Yeah,
example, the
I
ones that not they're not
completely
interested to.
agree.
Like, I know math and English is necessary, but like other subject like history is good, but like it should not be a lot like whole semester. It should be like, I don't
Yeah,
know, half semester, and then rest what interested in, let it be full semester so that they can learn. Not
yeah.
like,
Or if you're that student who does have good grades in certain aspects and you
yeah,
don't in the other, like don't be ridiculed for that. It's like, okay, this
yeah, yeah,
obviously
yeah,
isn't your thing, so let's not put you in that next time. Like we don't need to
yeah,
be
yeah,
able to, you're not going to retain the information anyways, so what's the point of pushing you through that?
yeah. Yeah, that's
I
the
know
thing
for
with school.
myself
I
too.
wish,
Like you get into politics and war, like I'm just in la la land staring out the window. Like I don't care how many tests you give me, I don't care. It's not anything
yeah,
that I want to learn. So give
yeah,
me a
yeah,
piece of paper and some crayons, and
yeah,
I'll build you whatever you want. So
yeah. Because, for example, in this world at the moment, because times are changing, like, your
they really
grades doesn't, I mean, first of all, your grades do not matter. It's what only matters your work and what you have done. That only takes you forward. Those forward like degrees. I mean, why I'm taking my degree because to learn more, to explore more. It's not for like for
Well, it's just a
things, but
ticket.
like
It's just a ticket into the next level, basically.
yeah, of course, in the next level, right?
Yeah, but
Like
I mean,
far
this
more
is
like other
something too where AI can teach you just about anything. I truly believe
yeah
that teachers, like, why have 100 different teachers that are teaching 100 different thought processes when the entire world can learn from the number one math teacher in the world and pay
yeah
him $1 million? Like, it just doesn't even make sense. There's so many different ideologies that teachers try and enforce on things. It's just turned into, anyways, I could go for days and days and days about this stuff. So we
no worries.
too far into this. We've dove off course here. We're getting into that hour mark here, so we should probably wrap this up, Neil. And
Yeah, no worries.
thank you so
Uh,
much for joining us today. Is there anything else that you want to like quick dive
yes,
into before we head out here?
sure, yeah. As mentioned about my film composing career, how it started. So after my Honda commercial, then in 2023, I got to work on a short film actually, and that was my first time I ever worked on a short film. It was called Beyond the Door, and it's a horror short film. And after that, I found out that it won an award for best sound and music, and actually that was my first short films I worked on. So after that, I continued. I did more short films, and that's how my film composing career started, from commercial to where I am. So,
To where you are now.
yeah.
Well, honestly, you have an impressive list of things that you've accomplished in life. I feel like I need to step it up into overdrive now. Like, I'm starting this podcast thing, and I'm like, oh, this is such a big deal. And then I read your list of accomplishments, and I'm like, I've definitely got some work to do, but it's good. It's so amazing to have
Yeah,
people like you to, look up to and inspire other people and just
of course.
allow people the opportunity to know that your life does not have to be, this script of what somebody else has written. Literally write your own script and keep following it. Like, you never know what can happen. Like, to see your name on a sidewalk, I saw that on Facebook the other day. I was like, look at
Yeah,
this guy. Like, good for you. That is so amazing. I'm sure you've heard that a million times, but I have to be a person to say that to you because I think it's so cool. I could only dream of having something like that happen to me, and I hope that one day I have my name carved in a sidewalk somewhere. And
yeah, of course. And actually, for the people who are wondering, so actually, that's where it was actually where I live in Elk Grove. So actually, my name was engraved over there, and I was just walking by. I'm like, what? I was shocked that my name was there. I had no idea. I was like, it was crazy.
you didn't
So
even
like,
know they
yeah,
just like carved it in there, and you walk past it one day, and you're like, oh, look at that.
yeah. I mean, they actually sent me an email. They said like your name is engraved. I'm like, what? And then when I checked, I was like, "Oh my god, no way!" And plus, there are other names too, like who also lived in Elk Grove. But I was shocked that my name was there. So that was very interesting. So
So
yeah,
in those moments, do you like? I'm excited for you. Like, I'm tearing up and like getting excited here for you. Do you get like is it so common for you now that it's hard to get excited about things like that, where you're just like, oh yeah, it's just a name on a sidewalk, no big deal? Or do you actually get like amped about it?
I mean, actually,
I would
when I
be,
saw
I would
my
be like, pardon my French, but I'd be shitting my pants. I would be like, oh my god, guys, like, look at this. This is amazing.
yeah, I mean, like for example, like when I saw my name, I was I was stunned. I mean, I was very grateful that to see something like that. I mean, I never even thought about once like seeing my name engraved in a brick. That's very crazy, and even by the city of Elk Grove, it's stunning. Like and it's anytime something new comes, like a new film, new short film, I'm really grateful, like because it's very hard, to get these kind of things. For example, recently, um, I'm only allowed to share a little bit because I signed a contract, but Um,
Well, don't spill too many beans now. We don't want to get you in
yeah,
trouble.
yeah, yeah, of course. For example, just like 4 days ago, I got a call from UK, from uh this label, and they wanted to work with me actually, and they wanted to use my talents in the works. I said, sure, why not? And they're actually a very big company. I'm not allowed to say what it is, but they are a very big company in UK. So like like these things like happen just out of blue. Even I never
Well, that's
thought
what
about that.
happens when
Some
you
company,
follow your purpose, when you're
yeah,
true in your authenticity, where you know this is what you're supposed to be doing. Those opportunities just open up for you. And
of
I've
course. For
seen it
example,
myself, like not necessarily on to the extent that you have, but just in those little moments where, once things happen, you can kind of slowly look back and piece them together.
yeah,
But as they come, like you don't really realize that it's leading you in that direction, and then they just
yeah,
start happening. And the more that it happens, the more excited you get about it, and the more and more and more and more and more it goes.
yeah. Like for example, like in 2023, I actually got a call from Germany, from this popular Germany channel called Galileo Explorer, and this channel, they find people with different talents, well, which are never seen, and they actually found me, for some reason. I don't know how or when or how that happened,
Well,
and
there's
they
only so
said,
many people in the world that know how to play 130 damage.
yeah.
So I'd imagine you're
That's-
pretty easy to find.
yes, of course, yeah, and they reached out to me and they said, "Hey, we would love to do a documentary about you and about your journey." I said, "Sure, why not?" And that company came all the way from Germany to US to only film my segment, and they actually had 5 people filming me actually. So I took them to a music shop because they wanted to see, like, if they gave me a random instrument on the spot, would I be able to play it? So they did an
Well, of
experiment
course you
on me,
could.
and then after that they filmed at my home too, and I showed them my instruments. I think we also jammed together with the non-musicians actually, who I mean the crew who are actually filming uh, the documentary. So yeah, and after that, it got premiered in Germany, and then that was my first time I ever made an appearance in Germany show. So that was a big thing for me. And I also do have my upcoming album. I'm not actually, my album got released already. By the way, sorry, I messed up.
It's
Yeah, yeah.
just
So
going and going and going, Matt. We
yeah,
could
I
talk
know.
for 3 days about all your accomplishments. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So my album came out last year in October. It's called Breaking Barriers. And this album has all 107 musical instruments in this album. And so that's the cover. This is a CD. And on the back, it has 7 songs. So the 2 songs which I'm featuring, for example, the second song, Exploring Worlds. Now, this song has all 107 musical instruments recorded acoustically in
I
one
was gonna
track,
say
and that is,
over 7 songs, you got 107 instruments. That is impressive.
yes, only one song has all 107 musical instruments in this album, and it is under 10 minutes. It's called Exploring Worlds, and it has all 3 genres in one track. And the first song, called Crossing Borders, this one actually has my vocals in it, and it's a rock genre, and it talks about my journey to Hollywood. And this one, as mentioned, available in CD, also available in vinyl too,
Oh
right here.
snap! He's bringing the vinyl back. Good.
Yes, yes,
Awesome. I have so many
and
friends who are so into vinyl. That's awesome.
really, yes, yes, and also available on all streaming platforms. You can find it on Amazon Music, Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere. So yeah, to check out my album, you can order from my website at www.neilnayyar.com, or just type my name, Neil Nayyar, on Google, and you'll find everything about it. Also, you can also check. Also, I recently came in a newspaper, actually, at for Elk Grove Citizen, where I got um actually where is it? Here we go. So very messy today. Here we go. Uh, right here. So I was featured in the newspaper recently. This was just this week actually. They posted about me right here,
Wow.
and today I actually did an event just 2 hours ago
I was
for
gonna say, I thought I
AAR.
saw that online.
Yeah. I did for AARP. Um, they actually reached out to me and they said that AAPI Heritage Month is coming up, and they wanted me to bring my instruments and demonstrate, uh, the Asian instruments, representing that culture. So that's what I did today. It was 1 hour 20 minutes performance actually. So yeah, I think we had probably 400 people actually watching in
Wow.
the Zoom. Yeah. So it was great,
That's a
and
lot in Zoom. Like you're
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
like 20 in there with your lives for sure.
Yeah. Of course, yeah. So that was a different one actually. I think that was my second time doing a virtual performance. The first time I did was when COVID hit, and that was made it online. But then the second time doing for AARP. So
I guess it was
yeah,
a different effect when you weren't forced to do it online.
yes. And also one more thing coming up is we have the Kids Music Day coming up actually on October 3rd. Uh, before the 10th annual, and I'm actually the Kids Music Day ambassador, actually for this one. So, and the owner of this Keep Music Alive was actually, I mean, Keep Music Alive is actually supporting Kids Music Day, but the founder of Keep Music Alive, who is uh, uh, oh my god, I forgot his name. Oh my god. Uh, give me a second.
Much
I know.
information.
I didn't remember Vincent James. Sorry, oh my god, how did I forget? Sorry, Vincent James, who is the founder of Keep Music Alive. Um, so he's supporting Kids Music Day, and he has been doing it for a long time. This is the 10th annual, actually, and I think he has helped also lots of kids, to help them learn music, because nowadays, for kids, like they're very interested in music, but like
Well,
it's
a
very
lot of
hard
the
to
schools have
get
taken
instruments.
basic, yeah, a lot of
Yeah,
the schools have taken all that stuff out. Like
yeah,
I remember even when I was in elementary school, like we learned how to play the xylophones and all that kind of stuff. Like they don't do
yeah,
that anymore.
yeah. Of course. So then after that,
Here's a
Vincent James.
recorder and let's make a music concert here.
Yeah. So then, Vincent James, founder of Keep Music Alive, came up with Kids Music Day, and he has helped like thousands of kids learn music, and also I think he also gave free music lessons too. I believe also at Guitar Center too. So he has done all of those kind of things, and I'm really glad to be the ambassador for this one. I'll give you show you more close. Actually, also Jack Black is actually the ambassador for Kids Music Day too. Right here.
Oh yeah, that he sounds like the
Yeah,
perfect
here.
kind
Here,
of
you can see that. He's in the
school of,
image.
school of rock kind of type thing where he comes and
Yes.
rocks out with the kids.
Yeah. So
That
yeah.
would be perfect.
Yeah. So probably in October. I think we'll be going to music store, and we'll be giving the lessons for the kids. To help to encourage them to learn music. So yeah. I mean,
Well,
there's a lot we talk about, but I think that's all we have for today.
I think we've checked off all the boxes of Neil. And to anyone listening, if you've ever questioned whether you've had enough time, talent, or resources to pursue your dreams, I think Neil has made it pretty clear that you definitely have the time, you definitely have the resources. You just got to get on it.
Oh, also one more thing. Also, if you so for the people who want to email me about gigs or have any questions on my website, if you scroll down, just put your name, your phone number, your email, and I'll get back to you. That's Chris. You can continue.
Wonderful. Well, it has been an absolute pleasure getting to know you, Neil. I am so impressed. I'm sure our listeners are beyond impressed. I can't even imagine having a list of things like that to have accomplished at such a young age. And I wish you all the best in your career. And
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
I'm sure there's just so many amazing things in store for you.
Of course.
Thank you so
Appreciate
much,
it.
Neil.
Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Thank you.
You take care.
Bye bye.
Bye.